Hi, my name is Róża. This is my channel Możliwe. Today my guest is Eva Galant, CEO of Hashiona, an app for people who suffer from Hashimoto. Hi, Eva.
Hey, Róża. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really glad I can be here with you today.
I also am very happy. Eva, does the fact that you have Hashimoto help you in creating this app?
Oh, definitely. In fact, like having a Hashimoto was the driver for me to establish Hashiona. So I'm a Hashimoto and hypothyroid patient since 6 years already. And just after the diagnosis, because all of my background was in the tech-related product and startups, I obviously did my homework. I did the market research. I checked what's on the market for those people with Hashimoto and hypothyroidism, what's the technology and innovation is offering them. I didn't find much, to be honest, and the stuff that I found didn't really satisfy me. So that was the first, I would say, that was the first idea, the aha moment when I was thinking, okay, maybe this is a market for it. But obviously at that time there wasn't a good time for me. So obviously I have to focus first how to fix my own health before I would start anything else or helping other people. And then I just spent 6-8 months learning about Hashimoto and hypothyroidism. I read so many books. I experiment on my body, and then finally I was lucky to get into remission. So just basically how I say I fix myself. So I put myself into remission, which means basically that I get rid of the symptoms and I can have a normal life as everyone else, enjoy the life and have a high quality life.
How we can use Hashiona? Is it for free? How can it change our lives?
Yeah, of course. So if someone was diagnosed with Hashimoto, we give them this app. The app is free itself. Have a couple of interesting free features that I will come back to in a second. And they also have paid program. It's basically something I call step-by-step guideline how to get into remission. So that's for those people who still trying to figure out how to fix themselves, how to help themselves to get into remission, or for the people who just have been diagnosed. Yeah, in terms of the free feature, what the app is doing? Like a lot of people ask me, okay, so how does work? How this will help me? So there's a couple of features. First of all, we give a tool to self-track your habits and your symptoms. To get into remission, you need a little bit more than just taking the prescribed hormones that you got from your doctor. You basically have to take about your diet, your sport activities, your stress level, your sleep, take the supplements as well, and take about the overall of the health. Because what is really important, Hashimoto is not the disease only about the thyroid. It's the disease that affect the whole body. So we have to ensure that there's everything okay with our gut, with our adrenal glands, with our pituitary, with our immune system and the whole digestive system. So it's pretty complex, even from medical point of view, it's a pretty complex problem. So we have to track all of those things for people and then analyze it. So basically you are able to find like kind of something I call individual health pattern, because each single person have a little bit different experience with Hashimoto. So so this is in this app you can put some kind of things which we call triggers. So let's say, I don't know, drinking a coffee or eating a gluten and a dairy that you shouldn't, or eating soya and so on. And then you can see what kind of triggers cause you specific symptoms to eliminate them. So that's one of the I would say benefits of using Hashiona. Then on the latest stage, we will also implement telemedicine, so you can connect with your clinicians, clinician whole team. So I mean here your GP, your endocrinologist, your clinical dietitians, and in some cases as well psychologists, because these problems sometimes affect women so much that they are completely overwhelmed with it. So sometimes psychologist is needed, and then on top of it we do the step-by-step program to get into remission.
Eva, where did you get the doctors and other specialists, and how did you convince them to take part in this project?
Very good question. So basically, we use our own network, and I do personally as well a lot of business development. And then we got a lot of media covers. So this idea and the app and so on interests so many media, and they were starting covering us, describing my personal history as well, and they think that what I'm doing with Hashiona and so on. And then some people just, have read about us or heard about from some patients and so on, and then just um, short us an email or just find a mutual friends connections. We also had like those media interest because that we have a lot of beta testers right now. So we have like more than 600 people who just subscribe it, and so much of them that even we have to split them now for different batches to testing the app, because obviously we are just a pretty small team, and I'm not able to talk in the same time with 1,600 people. So you can imagine.
How big a problem is nowadays Hashimoto?
Good question. I would say that depends. That depends on the country. So globally, we estimate that there is this problem affects 4% of the population, which is like 300 million people globally. But these 300 million people is only the people that we talk. We only talk about those people who are already diagnosed. Doctors claim that it may be the real number of the patients, maybe even double or triple, mostly because the diagnostic process is pretty long. In my case, only it took 8 years. So you can imagine. Now, I would say it depends on the country, because there are some trends in different countries. Like in the US, right now, there's 4.6% of the population affected, but according to American Thyroid Association, this will be up to 12% of the whole population that their bodies will develop some kind of thyroid disorder sooner or later during the lifetime. In the UK, from the other hand, it's only 2% of the population. In Poland, that affect even up to, from some sources, according to some sources, even up to 22% of the population. And there is really something into it that is more patients in the Central Eastern Europe who don't know why it's like that from the medical point of view, but it is visible even for the endocrinologists in London that I'm visiting.
What are the symptoms of Hashimoto?
What are the symptoms? Do you remember your worst hangover ever in your life?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So the symptoms are pretty much very common. Those very often I say those people feel like having a hangover every single day. So imagine you just wake up, you're obviously completely exhausted. You're tired so much, you want to stay in the bed. You have no energy whatsoever. Like even taking a shower or sometimes doing a breakfast, so like normal, quick activities, are just like making you exhausted and use the energy for the whole rest of the life. Rest of the day. In some cases as well, people are gaining weight very quickly or are not able to lose the weight. They feel like they have depression. They cannot focus. They have a problem with memory. They are pretty much not able to work in an efficient way. In many cases, they just feel like just stay in the or lie on the couch and watch Netflix or scroll Facebook. So it's not easy. It's not easy. But what is really important, once you regulate your hormones level and get yourself into remission, which is a process that takes at least a couple of weeks. It's not easy. In my case, I would say usually the remission, it will take you like 6-8 months to get into it. So it's definitely not overnight. But once you get there, you're gonna have a pretty much normal life. You don't experience all of the symptoms, and you just can carry on with the life that you have before, with those limitations that you have to take care about, like special diet, special sport activities, good amount of sleep, especially at the night, which is important for your pituitary, which affect your thyroid hormone production. You have to supplement the micro macro minerals and vitamins that your body may need, but everything else is pretty normal.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, you have very big knowledge about Hashimoto. What are the biggest mystery surrounding Hashimoto?
There is probably a couple of it, but I think one of the mystery which affect patients directly is the lab norms for the thyroid hormones. So this is a problem and it have to be changed. And some even endocrinologists like really speak openly about that this have to be changed. So there's 3 hormones that are checked when there's assumption you may have hypothyroidism. So you check TSH, T4, and T3. And then if you also later on, you just do the deep diagnosis of the antibodies and ultrascan of your thyroid. But coming back to those 3 thyroid hormones, there's the TSH, which is basically a hormone of your pituitary, but affect the production of T3 and T4. Now, the labs norms are pretty much between 0.5 up to 4. Depends of the laboratory, but around 4, 4.5, 4.2. And this is the range, and that's the practice. So in fact, if your GP is not experienced with dealing with thyroid kind of problems, and you go to your GP and he look at your TSH, and the TSH would be like, let's say 3, he may tell you that basically everything is all right. You are in the lab norm range and should be, I think, okay. If you have a problem with getting a weight or these kind of things, maybe you should go to the dietitian. If you have depression, maybe you should go to psychologist. The reality is, I don't know personally anyone who's feel good having TSH over 2. Okay. In fact, if you are young women and your TSH is above 1.5, you're not able to get pregnant. So there is something definitely wrong with this labs norm, and endocrinologists know that, and they speak openly about that. In terms of GP, that depends on the knowledge and the interest they have. Some of them know it, some of them are don't having this knowledge and only rely on those lab norms, which is with the PT, unfortunately, for the patients because they are suffer. So that's I would say the mystery. I guess it will be changed, but it has to be changed from the, above organization and so on the level of NHS, on the healthcare system in specific countries.
Mm-hmm. Since you started creating this app, what has changed from impossible to possible?
For impossible to possible, it's a good question. I would say when I was planning to set up this company this year, in the beginning of this year, I couldn't imagine that we will find ourselves in the global pandemic. Probably nobody could, to be honest. But it was definitely hard when you're just leaving your full-time job and you just started. You don't even create the company yet, set up officially or registered the company yet. You're just, trying to complete the team. And in the 2 weeks after, when you commit yourself in the full time, 2 weeks after, the whole world is closing their borders. That's a surprise. That's a surprise, because I was panicked. It was like first week, probably everyone was, right? But in the first week, I was like so much shocked and panicked. I was like, how I'm gonna do this, run this company right now? How I'm gonna to find partners? How I'm going to find patients and just talk to them if I cannot even meet them, right? I was just like, it was, it's completely different. The business development that I know from, previous jobs and activities, professional activities they had, was involved in attending the fairs, conferences, events, meeting people physically. And here we are, and completely 100% remote work a couple of months after. And what I can say, there are some benefits of running the company out of my home, as you can see, my wardrobe, and some of the guitars and my books and so on. So what are the benefits? First of all, saving a lot of time and the money for commuting, and a time for going to the airports, flying somewhere for those conferences and so on. Because we are all online right now, it doesn't really matter if you are in London, in Warsaw, in Chicago, San Francisco, and so on. Everyone is remote. That's open you so many possibilities, and this is really, really fantastic. Because I attend the events right now everywhere. I'm going for the virtual events in Berlin for startups. I'm meeting people in London just half an hour after I wake up. I have a mentor in San Francisco, in Texas, in Chicago. All of these people are supporting Hashiona. We are participating right now. Just yesterday, we started a participation in a program called H Plus Innovations, a program for medtech startup in Munich, in Germany. We probably wouldn't have a chance to be part of this program if not COVID, because we will have to be there physically, which was probably like, I don't know if I want again to spend another couple of months in different countries and so on, especially as you privately know my background, when I travel a lot for the last 3 years, and I just wanted to settle somewhere and don't go anywhere for longer than a week.
How has your work experience helped you in creating this app?
Well, and definitely in a couple of ways. So my background was always working with tech environment, helping startups and working with them. So it's also not in my first company. So I used to have 2 or 3 other startups back then. So I know what I should do, because this idea was with me for the last 5-6 years. I already now I'm just executing all the thoughts and ideas I have for so many years. So we moving pretty quickly because we exactly know what to do. It's just executing those ideas. So yeah, helping with designing so being in 6 years in the patient community will give you also a good view for what the patients may need. So what we did, we create the first scope of the functionalities that we would love to implement and build. Then we went to the patients. We spent like 40, maybe 60 hours with the patients to confirm this is exactly what they need, and this is not only in my head or in my in my mind. So we talked to them, they confirmed this is exactly what they wanted, and we started to build the app. And because I was building the product, I was designing them for so many years for other people in software houses and as well seed, post-seed, Series A kind of startups. That was easy and very nice process for me. And now we are just testing that and do everything else. As you know, probably in a small company, when you have only 2 founders and a couple of others freelancers around you, you have to wear a lot of different hats. Yeah, that's what I love, really. That's what I also did before, working as independent consultant with the startups. And yeah, that's what helped me as well. I know how to navigate in this startup ecosystem. I know how to approach the people, to talk to them, to build the connections and ask about help when needed.
Are you still looking for an investor for this app?
Yeah, definitely. We want this product growing pretty fast, and we want to help millions of people around the world. So to do it, we obviously need external institutional investors to help us with it. We're collecting right now our first pre-seed investment. We have a couple of pre-commitment, and we're looking for the rest.
Mm-hmm. How does a startup environment look like in UK?
Mm-hmm. That's a complex question. I would say, good question. I would say it's more concentrated on the specific industry rather. So when I remember the startup ecosystem, let's say 10 years ago, it was pretty general. So all the startups were like in one place and the event will generate and so on. Right now, everything is like per industry. There are industry startups, there are industry conferences, there are more and more venture capital firms like focusing strictly only on one or two, sometimes three industries. So I would say it's obviously much bigger than in the Poland. That's obvious. London is like especially finance capital of the rest of the world. So a lot of people, a lot of startups are coming from different countries in Europe to London to raise money as well. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of competitors, and you have to compete with those startups to get your capital, to get employees, to get place in the pitch contest and tickets to the conference and so on and so on. So that's more challenging, but it's still it's pretty European as well. So it's a little bit different than in the US.
Mm-hmm. Was there ever the moment when you're thinking about to give up?
No, yet, to be honest. Maybe that's from me, I don't know. But so far, we have been working pretty fast and very hard, and there wasn't really time to,
thinking about it.
Yeah. It's just we focus on the executions, and we're just moving fast. We have very realistic milestones, and we just go further and go further and go further. Obviously, the raising the capital would be very helpful for us as well. But we already finance this from our own saving for a couple of months already, and we are ready to do it for another couple of months if needed. So yeah, I'm really determined, and you can believe me, I was thinking about this idea 5-6 years now. So once I decided to commit, I'm just full in. I'm all in.
Hashiona is an app when you put all your savings. Weren't you afraid of risk you were taking?
I was born risk taker. I always have been. So I always was more about adventures and learning rather than being, secure and saving and so on. So I knew one day I will just build my own companies and so on and so on. So of course there's a risk. Most of startups, to be honest, are not successful. So we are aware about this risk, but I just feel like this is my mission. This is one of the things I didn't mention to you, but I just mentioned this in one of the interviews we had before. I consider myself being lucky. The reason why I feel myself lucky, because when I was diagnosed, I was already in London. I was working as a contractor. I finished just my contract to focus on fixing my health. So I did like a 6 or 8 months break in my career in terms of fix my health, learn everything about thyroid and endocrine system and so on, to help myself. I didn't know about that yet to help other people. And I'm pretty aware there's so many other women around the world. I say women because it's mostly female disease. 90% of the patients are female. There's so many female around the world who don't have this comfort to don't work for 6-8 months to get into remission, or read everything what is in the internet, or read all of the books and so on and so on. So I want to help those people to get this knowledge and get them like the guideline how to get into remission, so they don't need to waste so much time, because it's just costly. And people have children, people have mortgage and so on and so on. So let's help them. If I can, I would love to help.
Mm-hmm. And my last question, are only women your target group?
Well, not really, because there are also men having Hashimoto, but it's just very rare for men. So there's less than 10% of Hashimoto patients who are men. So yeah, I would say our marketing campaign and so on maybe a little bit more girly to attract the women, who are just the men of the target. But men with Hashimoto and hypothyroidism are always welcome, and I will always emphasize this. They're always welcome to use the product, contact us, and get all of this support as they need. In fact, it may be sometimes even harder for men, because all the discussion and treatment and so on around Hashimoto is focusing on women. We are a little bit like forgetting that men sometimes also have it. So they will be always welcome in Hashiona.
Eva, thank you for being my guest. I wish you all the success that you clearly deserve.
Thank you so much, Róża. It was a big pleasure to talk to you, and just thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching this episode. Please subscribe my channel if you haven't already. Bye.
Bye.